How many of us take scenes like this for granted? What if there were none, or very few left? How many of us think about the environment and what we can do to save it?
And this was actually a painting done from a festival that I was at called Rainbow.
Eden Sheffroth does think about it and worries about what we're losing and what she can do to save it. But she is just an individual. Environmental movements have been around since the Industrial Revolution. Originally, these movements were focused on the preservation of nature. Throughout the 1960s until the 1980s, the movement resurged with ecological protection groups like Greenpeace and concerns about the ozone and acid rain. Increasingly, we've seen more extreme weather. The movement that began such a long time ago has been revitalized. Janice Harvey is a professor at St. Thomas University in the Environment and Society program.
Until the last several years, when the climate change issue really becomes unavoidable and the public begins to really be uncomfortable with the fact that governments are actually not doing anything on this, and so you see a revival of grassroots activism around the climate issue.
A recent study suggests almost 80% of Canadians believe in climate change, and over 60% believe humans contribute to the problem. Over the past few decades, as a society, we've taken steps towards being more environmentally friendly, whether that's through recycling or moving towards more renewable technologies. Despite our efforts, Harvey says we all live with contradictions in our ways of life.
And we live in a society, we live in a culture, and a lot of our behavior, a lot of our actions are actually dictated by the system that we're stuck within. A very few people are prepared to or can sort of drop out.
Sheffroth is not one who's prepared to drop out entirely. For the most part, she's your average mid-20s Canadian. She enjoys reading and playing video games.
Stop killing me!
But for Sheffroth, minimizing her own eco-footprint and fighting against climate change and for environmental protection has been part of everyday life, even as a child.
I've always kind of been environmentally conscious ever since I was a little girl. I'm always, taking garbage that I found on the street and putting it in my pockets to throw into a garbage can later. Sneaking small animals into my bedroom, which my mother really enjoyed, I'm sure. And then as I got older, I just noticed a huge change in events. So this is the campaign office where the Green Party was working over the summer. It's kind of sad just to take a look in here and, see it all empty, especially after all the good memories.
Now, Sheffroth has her hands into a little bit of everything. She volunteers with soup kitchens and shelters, the Council of Canadians, the Green Party, and has started a green program for her work. But Sheffroth lives by the causes she supports. She chooses public transportation or walking for her errands in her commute to work. Whenever she can, she tries to shop locally. That means going to the farmer's market for all of her produce.
Instead of buying something that's, shipped thousands of miles, costing Lord knows how much gasoline, it's something that's coming, straight from a local farm right to my table, which is, fresher vegetables, tastes a lot better, and it's also having a lot less of an impact on the environment than if I was to purchase something from California.
For her home, she enjoys products that aren't mass-produced.
Oh, this one smells really good.
Anyway, this frame, for instance, is the strapping off the roof of a barn called the Party Barn in Havelock.
They're taking materials that were going to be thrown out anyway, and instead of contributing to a waste product, you're taking that waste and turning it into something new.
Wainscoting from the entranceway of the Petitcodiac Hotel.
I'm actually fine because I have a bit of a smaller budget, that this actually helps a lot. I mean, I went and got a week's worth of groceries today for about less than $20.
Sheffroth's also a vegetarian, partly because she loves animals, but also for the environmental benefits.
You know, it costs a lot more to the environment to produce a pound of beef as opposed to a pound of vegetables.
Environmental scientists in the International Panel on Climate Change say that we're nearing a time of crisis. If that's the case, can Sheffroth and others like her do enough? Or is a larger societal change required? Do the actions of individuals even matter when a problem is so large in scale? Harvey says these people will not change the world all by themselves, though they do have a large contribution to make to their cause.
Understand that within your limitations, you're just going to do the best you can. Understand kind of the change dynamic so that you can actually feed in positively to the change dynamic, which is politically, in the sense that you've got to make sure the government knows what you expect them to do. Because that's where the power lies right now.
I'm very proud of some of the things that I do. I'm certainly not perfect in any way, shape, or measure. There's a lot of things that I could do to improve. But I think that one of the major impacts to this environmental movement is bodies. We need to have more people getting involved in their communities. We need to have more people getting involved in their government and actually holding their government accountable. Because when you're just sitting around and not getting involved, you're expressing consent for these things to happen.
Sheffroth knows to make things happen, it will take large groups. But large groups are made up of individuals like her. Lots of them. And if they all pitch in, they can accomplish something that one person can't, and possibly preserve places like this for generations to come. For St. Thomas Journalism, I'm Danielle Elliott.